I was never interested by mouse bungees. It seems silly to throw down cash on a device whose sole purpose is to hold your junk. Actually, if you word it like that, it doesn't sound so bad. While there are reasons for using one, it never really appealed to me. But when Orico asked if I was interested in reviewing theirs, I wanted to know if it could hold its own, as well as my mouse cable, against my already biased opinion against it. Right off the bat, the Bungee has a bunch of stuff going on. Orico's gaming mouse Bungee is outfitted with a 2.4 amp USB charging port and a 4-port USB 3.0 hub. Its triangular base helps prevent it from falling over, and the rubber arm looks like it could be a simplified beam cannon, but it underwhelms us instead by proudly holding your mouse cable. Put all that together and holy Bungeesus, it looks almost like a sci-fi killing machine sent back from the future to help your mouse float like a butterfly and sting like a scorpion, complete with subtle glowing LED. That saying doesn't sound right. The base's construction is a sturdy plastic, and the sci-fi beam cannon is made of rubber. You get a 1-meter USB data cable and a 1-meter 12-volt wall adapter included with the package, so your cable management game had better be on point. Unless you don't care about that kind of thing, in which case I'm surprised you didn't just tape your mouse cable to something else instead. While using the mouse Bungee, I hardly noticed any decrease in drag, but then again, I never really noticed it when I was Bungee-less either, though I will admit that the Scorpion-esque pincher has quite the iron grip. I threw a variety of mice at it, all sporting cables of different girths, from the thicker Logitech mice to the thinner options from Corsair, and the thing has a grasp tighter than me on a lonely night. There won't be a single snaky thing getting away from this fellow. All that being said, this didn't really blow me away. No fatalities here. In my usage, it did what it was supposed to, but as someone that already uses a USB hub and has chargers for various devices strewn about, it was kind of redundant. At the same time, you could argue that this Bungee minimizes the amount of things you need on your desk, so I guess you could say it's preference. From a purely functional standpoint, it does what it's designed to, but it's not necessarily for me. The thing only stands about 100 millimeters tall, but it does fall short in other departments. I sort of wish the feet had little rubber pads to prevent slipping. Double-sided tape would fix this, but this time, it's actually better with the rubber. All those feet and you still can't stand your ground. You should have enough slack on your cable to prevent the Bungee from being tugged too far anyway, but I'd rather have it than not. The rubber arm gently embraces the cable and fluidly follows my flurry of fluctuating forces, but because it's rubber, it tends to make dust easily noticed and difficult to purge. And lastly, due to the design of the device, you're going to have something less like a scorpion and more like a kraken. So, sure, your mouse cable will be in check, but depending on what you plug in, you'll have solved one problem only to reveal 7 more. Given its tripodular design, that's not a word, this issue would have been present right at the beginning. In order to minimize this, the base would probably have to be reworked completely. That being said, this device is $20, which might sound okay. A comparable USB 3.0 hub can be found anywhere from $9 to $17, and a mouse Bungee from around $8 to $20. So you put the two together, and I guess you'd get close to Orico's asking price. But then again, when you search for a USB mouse Bungee, you'll see that some give less for the same price, some give less for a much lower price, and then what looks to be the same thing from RolliTron for less than half the price. And then there's this nameless one that's not as cheap as Roly-Poly over there, but still cheaper than Orico's. Is there, like, cockfighting but for scorpions? Because that might work here. While the product itself is fine for those who need it, Orico will probably need to be more competitive with their pricing if they really want to drive sales here. Now, I gave Bungees a lot of shit earlier. To be honest, there are some fairly valid reasons to use one, but then a lot of counter-arguments to not. They hold your cable up to prevent drag. If you travel from setup to setup often, a Bungee is good for reducing that drag variance between locations, so you won't need to adapt so frequently. But clipping your cable to your monitor is a cheaper solution, and unless your desk's surface is made of Velcro, I don't see how drag is a significant factor. Then there's cable longevity. If your mouse cable falls behind your desk, the Bungee will prevent the cable from rubbing the table. But again, a cable clip or cable anchor is a cheaper solution for this. The best thing I can think to use a Bungee for is to help avoid certain oversights made by other companies. If you're looking for a Bungee just to get the cable out of the way, then this will work, as long as you don't swing your arm around like a barbarian. The USB hub and charging port are a nice touch, but I'd personally rather stick with something that I can slap to the underside of my desk. My use of a mouse Bungee is obviously fairly limited, so if you stand strong by yours, feel free to let me know why. That's all I have to say about that. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe, share, leave me questions if you've got them. Thanks for watching. My name is Steven, and I am ALittleDIMM. Bye-bye. Actually, if you word it like that, it doesn't sound so bad. I'm not too sure about that wink. Winking looks good on attractive people. If you're not too attractive, winking is creepy. We'll see how it goes. If somebody hates it, I'm sure they'll point it out. But when Orico asked me if I was interested in reviewing theirs, I wanted to know if it could hold its own as well as my... The Bungee has a bunch of stuff going on. Orico... I laughed when I wrote it and I'm laughing now. It's such a bad thing. But it's still amusing. In which case, I'm kind of surprised you didn't just tape your mouse cable to something else. Though I will admit that the Scorpion-esque pincher has quite the iron grip. Actually, now that I think about it, it's really not the pincher, that'd be the Scorpion's tail. And the tails don't pick anything up, really. From the thicker Logitech mice to the thinner options from Corsair, and the thing has a grasp. And the thing has a grasp. In my usage, it did what it was supposed. Did. I sort of wish the feet had little rubber pads to prevent. I sort of wish the feet had little rubber pads. The rubber arm gently embraces the cable and fluidly follow. Oh, this is gonna be difficult. And fluidly follow. Oh my god. It's only the second word, and there's like six or seven if you travel from setup to setup. So you don't need to adapt. So if you stand strong by yours, feel free. Hi. Who's that?